people who've been on home renovation or remake shows, how's the house holding up? Plumbing and remodeling company I work for did plumbing for an HGTV show about 10 years ago. We did the hookups for the new laundry room. The homeowners picked some fancy Moroccan tile for the floors at some upscale NYC boutique, and the host of the show decided it would look better without grout, which went about as well as you'd expect. Filming wrapped, and we were called back out a few weeks later to replace the fancy tile that immediately chipped and became dangerous with some boring tile. Had to sign NDAs, etc. My sister's master bedroom got a makeover on a Surprise Your Spouse show. The designer was going for an Arabian Nights romantic vibe, but it ended up pretty weird looking with all the closets hidden behind yards of draped fabric. They took it all down and painted the room a neutral color within months. They also took the ceiling fan out and replaced it with a giant tree branch wired up with twinkling lights. Not too long afterwards half the lights went out and it was too hot in the room without the fan, so that got put back as well. On the bright side, it didn't cost them anything and was a fun experience, and they got a couple of new furniture pieces out of it, but in the end they didn't keep any of it the same. My family was on a home renovation show when I was a kid, in the late 90s early 2000s. I think it was Changing Rooms or possibly another show by the same cast and producers. It was one of those shows where they do 3 rooms in the house, and mine was one of the rooms they decorated. It looked so pretty. They decorated it to look like a fairy woodland with huge tree murals on the walls and a night sky of stars hanging from the ceiling. But it held up really badly. All the murals on the wall peeled off and it looked bad pretty quickly. I had fun shooting the show though, and it was a cool story to tell my friends at school. It's not a house, but a local place was on bar rescue a few years back. Overhauled the entire interior. I haven't seen the episode of the actual show, but the bar has softball fields at it. I went up and played softball during one of their test runs. They renamed the place Boulder Lodge. About 9 months later they went back to the old name but kept most of the interior designs and food/menu. It's still running and largely seems better than it was before the rescue. Friends were on a show a few years ago. It was super intense, 3 weeks of filming, and the redesign looked great on camera. In reality it was literally things stuck together with staples and tape. After the show my friend took 2 weeks off work to rebuild everything properly. Remember Extreme Makeover? A show where they build or hugely remake a home for a needy person/owner? They did one here in my town, won't say for privacy, and my brother, a builder, was approached to help build a home in the dead of winter. Brothers couldn't help, but our friends, the neighbors to the home, volunteered, and the home was completed in 1 week. In heavy rain and cold, they built it, and now the home has any number of problems too. The owner went back on Extreme Makeover to fix everything, and was told, "You got this for free, fix it yourself." This reminds me of an episode of DIY SOS, where they redid this woman's bedroom and kept referring to it as a boudoir. They did it up like, you ever see the film Moulin Rouge? Like that kind of setup. The woman absolutely hated it, probably one of the few times I've ever seen someone not just smile and nod at the monstrosity they did. I also heard Pimp My Ride was a scam basically. All the LCD TVs and the really expensive shit they put in those cars took them right back out. I helped source a person for such a show after they were the victim of a rogue trader that took tens of thousands of pounds from them, leaving them with nothing left and not doing the work. I felt pretty good about myself that I was able to talk the person through what would happen, sit them down and chat over the pros and cons, and find a pathway through so that they could have a habitable home and normal family life again, especially as the family had had it rough even before the rogue trader. The renovation looked great, and there's no way the family would have been able to have gone ahead without the Help Percent 26 funding from the TV show. Funny thing is, I got a call from the person about 6 months later, and they said that the TV company had been in touch and sent out another builder who redid much of the work and made it even nicer, because they since found out the guy they originally used was a cowboy builder. What I'll always remember though is the transformation in the person. The first time I met them they were crying, shaking uncontrollably, afraid of the rogue trader and utterly desperate, with seemingly no way out. Over the course of my dealings with them they changed to such an extent it was like a different person. They were bubbly, positive and resilient. They were able to laugh off the issue where they had to have a second builder out, and while they were in talks with the TV people, it actually even led to a freelance job offer for them as well. They'd been at rock bottom, and this was the catalyst that turned it round, and it was totally unexpected for them. I believe it was genuinely life-changing. This was at least 10 years back now, but I'll never forget it. Hope the family's still doing well. I work for one of the construction companies that was contracted to build the new house on Extreme Makeover, Home Edition. This was like 10 plus years ago when the show was at the height of its popularity. Anyways, it was a huge nice house built for a widowed mother with several kids. Father had recently died, hence why she was on the show. Even though the house was given to her, she couldn't afford it after a year or so, property tax, electricity, water, upkeep, etc., and put it on the market. Simply owning a home of that size is very expensive and she couldn't afford it. Kind of similar, I stayed in a room that was made over on Hotel Hell. It was poorly done. The paint lines were terrible and some of it was on the ceiling. The decorations they used seemed like just really cheap stuff from TJ Maxx, not really hotel quality stuff. They didn't touch the out-of-date bathroom, but they didn't put that part on the show. The hotel also didn't keep the fancy linens in that room because I'm sure that was a pain to wash and keep track of one special set of linens. Basically it looked great on camera, but in person it did not look professionally done. My company took part in a very well-known British renovation show. We donated £6,000 worth of equipment. They promised good advertising in return for free equipment and labor. We found out after filming that the producers had asked our two largest rival companies to do the work and they said no. We couldn't understand why they wouldn't want to get involved in such a good cause. The family's story about why they deserved the work was apparently exaggerated and no one had bothered to research this properly. The show never aired. Kind of in a similar vein, there was that show Gordon Ramsay does where he renovates hotels on Hotel Hell. One of the early episodes he was in Las Cruces, and I have relatives in nearby El Paso that kept me filled in since I'm a big Ramsay fan. It did not go over well for the owner following the episode. Said episode is on YouTube if you got a fun hour of time to kill. Anyways, in the episode the lady is running a unique stay hotel into the ground with mediocre food, nothing at all like local cuisine, and bad singing like Cher that she does in the dining area. I'm not gonna fault her for singing badly, but she should have realized this was driving away customers and taken Ramsay's advice. Anyways, in the episode the lady is running a unique stay hotel into the ground with mediocre food, nothing at all like local cuisine, and bad singing like Cher that she does in the dining area. I'm not gonna fault her for singing badly, but she should have realized this was driving away customers and taken Ramsay's advice. Ramsay stayed for a week, and this was a big deal in Las Cruces because celebrities usually aren't out in West Texas or New Mexico. His show also paid as compensation for filming a major renovation with new furniture etc. After filming, Ramsay and company went off on their way, and I also got to mention this lady is disliked already in the city of Las Cruces. As for what happened after? A lot of things. The bar down the road did a watch party of the episode when it went live, and pulled all the works with an outdoor projector and a whole ass event out of it. Rather than heed advice, the lady decided to sell off the furniture and stuff that Ramsay provided and go back to old ways, which meant people stopped coming, especially she was disliked even more after it was found out she did that. She eventually had to sell off the hotel entirely and skipped town. As for the head chef, cook that Ramsay was talking food trucks with in the episode, I think the dude eventually either started a taco truck of his own or is working for one, and is doing well last I heard. At least somebody gets a happy ending in all that. Please, you guys complaining about bad fixes. I live in Brazil. When they did this to a house here in my city, not 2 days later the house was entirely robbed. Ha ha ha. That's what you get broadcasting in national TV, all the expensive electronics you've put in a house from a dangerous poor neighborhood. The show was whatever Luciano Huck called it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.